This clip is from a documentary about a United States congressman, the first Vietnamese American congressman, and it was originally commissioned to be a short 5 to 10 minute profile of that congressman by the Center for Asian American Media. So, and then the story grew from there. So maybe we'll roll the first clip, and then I'll speak briefly about that.
Voters have ousted 9-term Democratic Congressman William Jefferson. Republican attorney Joseph Gao becomes the first Vietnamese American to serve in Congress.
Joseph Gao of Louisiana is also the first Republican in more than a century to win the seat representing New Orleans.
The people of the 2nd District have spoken.
I don't drink regular coffee because the caffeine level is a little too much, and it tends to make me very nervous. And
Other than
being on this job,
senators.
being on this job, I cannot be too nervous. At least I cannot show people that I'm nervous.
Will the House please come to order?
May I ask for extension, please?
The chair will allow the gentleman to finish his thought.
Thank you very much. The future of America is too important for this body to be embattled and impeded by radical ideologies and political
Gentleman's
maneuvering.
time has expired.
A similar situation to Richard's situation in Caesar's Last Fast in this film, in the sense that the director was hired to shoot the profile at the beginning of the 2nd year. It's a 2-year term for a congressman in the United States. So we had no actual footage from the first year of his term, and so we had to find a way to sort of introduce him as a befuddled, sort of naive, nervous person that really had, in his own mind, even no business winning the seat that he won. It was a very set of extraordinary circumstances that led him to win this seat, and it seemed very unlikely he would win his re-election battle. So that was why, when it was commissioned, they just thought, well, we'll do a little profile because he's going to lose, and we want to capture just sort of for the historical record, the first Vietnamese American congressman. So why don't we just roll right into the second clip, which is a little further along in Joseph's term.
The Deepwater Horizon is now burning and listing about 40 miles off the coast of Louisiana. A massive oil spill will reach land tonight with devastating consequences for the environment and the economy.
Nearly a fifth of the fish caught in this country comes from that Gulf Coast region. Angry fishermen say their livelihood is being washed away with the oil.
I am here to tell you that you're not alone. You will not be abandoned. You will not be left behind.
Do we got some vacuum boats out here? Do we have any other ones that could be sucking this up? Yeah, that's the drum one we got. Yes. Take a picture, a section of this.
These marshes served as almost like, well, the estuaries of the Louisiana seafood industry. You have shrimp, you have fishes that go in here and spawn, and then
it's a breeding ground for everything.
It's a breeding ground for basically everything. And with this contamination here, it's going to affect our seafood industry for years to come.
Okay, so there's no job opportunities.
Not specifically. No, this is just strictly BP claims.
I need a job, man. I need it yesterday.
You took my life away. Totally, it was like cutting a piece of my heart out. I can't get that back. Money ain't gonna pay for this. And remember that when you think about what the people that live on the water do, that's what's in their heart, their soul. You can't bring a soul back when you destroy it. And that's what you just did to us.
Congressman, we have a representative from BP Claims who's going to go through the process here.
Chúng tôi có một người đại diện cho BP Claims và bồi thường ở đây.
You'll compensate people for the entirety of the loss that they would have incurred, or you'll compensate people for a determined percentage?
We will compensate them for their loss of income. If their loss of income is every month, they have loss of income every month for the next 6 months, then we will compensate them for their loss of income. We're not going to say...
You're not very familiar with the fishing communities and what they do here. Oftentimes their income is made pursuant to a season. It's not on a month-by-month thing. They can make $100,000 within a season of 3 or 4 months, and you will reimburse them for that $100,000 if they can show that that would be their loss.
We are sorry for everything the Gulf Coast is going through. We are sorry for that and the spill.
The cleaning up process has been a disgrace. The claims process has been dismal. Mr. Stern asked Mr. McKay to resign. Well, in the Asian culture, we do things differently. During the samurai days, we just give you a knife and ask you to commit harakiri. My constituents are still debating on what they want me to ask you to do.
It's been discussed so far today that you go out into the world making a film and things change. So this oil spill happened, and all of a sudden this obscure congressman was, for people that don't know, this was in the Gulf of Mexico, and that for weeks they couldn't stop, they could not figure out how to stop the oil. So it was just in the news day after day of how many millions of gallons of oil was coming into the Gulf of Mexico. And so all of a sudden this character was in the national news, and which is very unusual for a documentary. People were telling the director, how much money do you need? Like, we want to see you finish this film. And so the director was out shooting his campaign for re-election while I was in the edit room sort of trying to piece together something about the first year, just go back to the beginning and sort of make things up that felt truthful enough to us that we could live with, even though we obviously knew it was basically, we're kind of creating the impression that it's been shot from day one. And so the reason I chose these two clips were just, you can see how Joseph has grown into the role, and you can see he's very authoritative and just and fair. He's actually a former Jesuit priest who left the seminary to get married and go into public life. And so we knew that we wanted this scene, the second one, to play in the film just before his re-election campaign in order to make you, as a viewer, really hope that he wins, to put you in his corner and make you like the character. Because at that point, we already were starting to not like the character because he became a little disingenuous. He didn't like that he was losing, and he was full of rationalizations for why he was being cheated, and so it can be a challenge and he was also then pushing the filmmaker away, not giving us quite the access we used to have. And so we were trying to create the most likable, powerful, interesting character. And this was, in our mind, exactly halfway through the film. And then the second half of the film, you would watch the campaign while also starting to question, how perfectly pure is Joseph as a character. So I guess we kind of all decided to try to speak quickly so there'd be time for questions and conversation afterwards. But I'll just say that I think sometimes as an editor, the director is counting on you, but you also need to trust the director. It's this issue of trust, or this relationship between the editor and the director, is very much a two-way street, and it can take quite a bit of time to earn that trust. The director on this film is a very close personal friend of mine, but this was the first time we had worked together, and he's also a very accomplished editor himself. He up until this point, had edited all of his own films, so it was difficult for Leo to be out in the field shooting and sort of trusting me and my judgment on telling him, yes, I think we have what we need, or I think we don't and we need to get this, and so we can talk more about that later. But it's a very intimate relationship, and it requires a lot of trust, because the fact is, none of us have the right answer all of the time. And the pressure of making these films and the pace that you need to make them at, there's not always time to just stop and walk away for 2 weeks and reflect. I mean, it's kind of at a certain point, it becomes just go, go, go to the end. And I think that's related to a conversation later about film festivals and things, is that if you put the pedal to the metal and sort of burn the candle at both ends, at a certain point, you're just out of steam, and that's it. That becomes the film. And so I think these issues are all sort of interrelated about how to make the best film that you can make with the team that you have and the time that you have. So that's what I'll say for now.